our next speaker, who's Will Ray, Head of Sustainability at Clarion. Over to you, Will.
Hi, yes, thank you very much. And we'll just go straight into the first slide. Yep, there we go. So Clarion Housing Group, and I'm Head of Sustainability for them. We are the largest social landlord in the country, and our heritage dates back over 100 years through various iterations of the organisation. Currently, we provide good quality and affordable homes for people priced out of the property market. That's our social purpose, if you like. But in terms of what we do, we're also a developer as well as a landlord, and growing rapidly in that area. We build thousands of affordable homes every year, and are scaling that as we move forward and taking more control over those developments as well. We invest in our residents and their communities, both through the work that we do in obviously our core property improvement fund. So notably our plan investment works are in and around 100 million per year, over $1 billion over 10 years. And we also invest through Clarion Futures, which is our charitable foundation. We have 125,000 properties, and they're spread across 170 local authorities, although the predominant amount of those is in London and the southeast. Next slide, thanks. I think it's important to state that we recognise the need to decarbonise our homes in the face of the climate challenge that we face and the climate crisis we face, and we want to enable our residents to live sustainably and affordably. That's really the critical purpose of what we're seeking to achieve through a sustainability strategy, which we're actually refreshing at the moment. And this is in line with the climate change Committee for Climate Change recommendations. We see that as important. We've made good progress in improving the energy efficiency of homes, and this is something that the social housing sector as a whole needs to hold a flag up, really, and to talk about that we are ahead of the rest of the housing stock, really, in terms of our EPC ratings. Yeah, for ourselves, we've got less than 2% of our stock, and hopefully very much less than that in the next year or two. In the E and F range, we've eliminated all Gs because of decent homes. And we also have a plan in place and underway to invest in meeting mid-C for all our homes. But to achieve zero carbon, we really have a massive challenge, and we've got to go further. But that's in the context of what we know is the challenge, but from a regulatory point of view, from a resident's point of view, and an investor point of view, we really still have to maintain a prudent approach. And the approach to improving housing is best demonstrated by that prudent approach in terms of what we do, demonstrated by what happened at Grenfell. It's really in our minds as we move forward, so safety and financially. And I guess it's important to say we're in the process of examining the implications. Next slide, thanks. Just a quick picture of where our stock is at. This is probably not that different from a lot of social housing providers out there. This is actually a little bit older. We've moved the graph a little bit further forward. But just to say, we've done a lot of work on a lot of different pilots, lots of different initiatives, retrofit-wise, new technology-wise, piloting, and studies and the like. So this is not from a zero basis that we're doing this. And from a new homes perspective, we're well on board with building with new technology. Next slide, please. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about the implications as we see it of this zero carbon future for homes. For us to achieve zero carbon, we know that we need to adopt new approaches to heating our homes. This is not a singular approach. It's going to be a multiplicity of approaches as it is today. We're about 85% gas heating now in our stock, but the rest is split between various technologies. To ensure affordability for our residents, we can't just whack in heat pumps and to standard homes and expect them to be able to afford to run those homes, particularly if they're lower rated. Deep energy efficiency is required at the same time to maintain this affordability. In addition, we're going to have to throw what I call energy cost reduction measures. So that could be PV or battery storage or various combinations of technology required really across homes and estates to offset energy cost increases which are in the modelling going forward. And if we switch to alternative heat sources, could be even greater than we expect. So despite deep retrofits, some buildings like conservation areas will need to reduce costs and work on reducing costs quite significantly. All of these requirements mean that significant capital investment is going to be required. We need to find that is different to the way that we've thought about this before. We really need to find a new way to finance this. We need to make the investment case add up. Existing and emerging policy timeframes mean that we really have to have a plan in place now, and that's what we are working on as to how and when we might meet these targets. But it's important to say that the sector as a whole doesn't yet have the skills required, I think, for meeting the known requirements, let alone the unknown requirements, the mysterious ones to deliver this zero carbon future. And also alongside this, I would argue that we don't have yet ready-made, well-established technological solutions that cover the diversity of our stock, meaning that we have to plan for the unknown as an organisation. That's quite a challenge. Next slide, thanks. But it's not just the homes themselves we need to think about. We need to accommodate a zero carbon future for our if we're going to accommodate a zero carbon future for our residents. This means we need to think about their other aspects of their lives, particularly mobility, electric mobility infrastructure, and particularly in the light of the government, the signals coming from government are potentially about the acceleration of the transition to electric vehicles, means that electric mobility infrastructure, and this is beyond just cars, we can see in London the quick transition towards electric scooters, providing safe and effective electric mobility infrastructure, charging points, if you like, on our estates is important for residents as well. And it's important for their access to things like jobs and skills. Finally, if we're going to ensure a holistic approach to sustainability, and I think this is important that we don't forget all of this, we need to consider the other aspects as well, biodiversity, waste management. So we're not forgetting all that when we do focus on carbon. Next slide. So this is a little bit of a picture on our thinking at the moment of where we are. So we have a set of standards that we've announced as the Clarion 2040 asset strategy. This takes our stock from where it is today and ensures that quality and affordability going forward. And it doesn't just cover energy; it's building safety and all sorts of other pressures that we need to include. Reducing maintenance that we're, etc. And the three key aspects of those commitments from Clarion 24 are about energy efficiency, about making modern and sustainable communities, about having quality components. But we realise to transition to zero carbon, we need to take some focus on some action areas. We need to look at what we do with our landlord supplies, and we've already done that. We've greened our landlord supplies in the current market, that from an electricity perspective anyway. Communal heating is very important, and we need to look at how we address that moving forward. It has been a problem area for the sector so far, but I think is potentially an opportunity. Electric mobility, I've mentioned, biodiversity and waste management. New build standards, we've taken a big leap forward on that very recently, and I would say watch this space in terms of what we're starting to build in terms of our new homes from this moment going forward. That's been a big transition for us. And the four other areas, looking at heating, looking at deep retrofit, resident engagement, and on-site energy storage. Those are our action areas where we're focusing our innovation efforts. Underlying that is the need to focus on improving our data and making sure that we're capturing and understanding what we're doing to our stock. Maximizing collaborations. We can't do this by ourselves, even though we are the largest in the country. We recognize, we can't pilot things on all the different types of stock that we own. We do need to develop different financial models that make this work, make it stack up in the face of the challenge. And finally, we think it's very important that we develop the evidence base. So we're committed to doing a lot more modelling and a lot more pilot. And this will end up, I think, from our perspective, with some new things, a new standard, a roadmap for ourselves, and a set of things that we need to talk about with government in terms of the regulatory environment. And hopefully we'll meet our zero carbon target and move forward on fuel poverty. Finally, I'll switch to the next slide. Oh, there we go. I just thought of outlined 4 opportunities and 4 challenges that I saw. So opportunity-wise, investment programs. We have an active energy efficiency program increasing substantially over the next 5 years, rising up to over £5 million a year. But importantly, that's only a small amount of the overall amount that we invest in homes and new developments. We are actively looking to collaborate and learn and to achieve the transformation required. And from a financial capability side, I think this is something that's forgotten maybe in this sector. We have an extremely low cost of capital. We're a patient owner with low return expectations, particularly where social impact is maximised, aligned with that purpose. What advantage could a solution take of that ability to invest? And piloting, we are actively doing pilots. We've created some nominally zero carbon attempted retrofits, but we are working on more of those. We are limited by internal capability and the challenges of things like data protection and working with residents. So it's important that we spread the learnings about how to improve pilots. 4 challenges, I think, for people involved in these works going forward. The housing stock, the multiplicity of home types, of the ownership splits in terms of including leaseholders in this arrangement, mean that there's no silver bullets, and there are difficulties when you come to block retrofit your multi-unit dwellings. Second of all, procurement. It's important to note that there are multiple players involved, multiple divisions within the housing association, whether it be capital works and development or maintenance. And then also the partnership contractors that we have a long-term planned investment partnership contract that involves 3 major players there. Those need to be involved, installers need to be involved, and we need robust solutions with low running cost. I missed that. That's a maintenance question. Fourthly, ownership-wise, we've had some difficulties in the past through rent-to-roof and communal heating, and it is important to understand that our relationship with our tenant is paramount, and that that needs to be simple, and it has been fairly simple so far. So making complexity in that arrangement needs to be avoided. Finally, from a government perspective, I mean, it's very, very clear, and it's been good to see today that there is a need for clear government direction and alignment between building regulations, the zero carbon heating strategy, housing regulation, energy efficiency programs, and the benefit system, if this is going to work properly for the social housing environment, if we're going to innovate and create new business models. That's it. Thank you.